Hi, everyone, and welcome to the CDOs Magazine series of one-on-one interviews with CDOs, data leaders, and key influencers. I'm your host, Robert Lutton, Vice President, Sandhill Consultants, and I'm coming to you today from Toronto, Canada, working with the CDO Magazine and the EDM Council. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing Julie Champagne. Julie is the Managing Director of Corporate Services and Data at the Bank of Canada. Welcome, Julie.
Thank you, Robert. Pleasure to be here.
As we leverage data and harness the power of innovation, how it transforms the organization into a data-driven culture. Could you share with us some of the ways that you've been able to leverage this or enable this at the Bank of Canada?
Yeah, that is a great question, and I'm gonna answer it in a couple of different ways.
Sure.
So one, I think is really important when you're looking at a data culture or driving that change in culture, driving that change in mindset is that engagement across the bank, right? And you've got to digital and data driven organizations can mean a lot of things to different people.
Right.
And so clearly having that clear vision, that strategy, and tying it into that North Star is really
Yes.
helpful because people can rally around that. Like if you get into, a lot of data speak, they might not understand, but if you focus that on the North Star and what's the value you're trying to derive, people can rally around that. And also, once you get into this journey, like there's so much happening quickly that sometimes you can lose sight of how far you come. So if you do, develop that kind of North Star and that strategy and that roadmap of how you want to shift, then you're able to point to your successes and you keep that momentum going. And and I would say the other thing in that culture shift is, making it practical and relevant to
Right.
people. Like what is it that we're trying to achieve and why? And being fit for purpose, I think it is quite important. So, and at the end of the day, too, a lot of this is about people, and it's people that's going to drive the change. They're either going to accept it or not, and we want them to accept it. And everybody goes at their own pace and rhythm, and we want everybody to be in that journey. Kind of say it's like the rowers. People can be in their own rowboat rowing, and some will get there
Right.
faster than others. But if you put them all in the same boat and you're rowing together, it's magic. And you're going to go faster and further every time. So,
Yeah.
how do we invest in them, empower them, meet them where they're at, and really promote the successes are together, like enable the business to celebrate their own successes.
It's great to hear that Bank of Canada is really pursuing the data literacy and the harnessing the culture of improving data literacy across the organization. One of the areas in our last couple of questions we want to talk about risk management, and we know and we understand that banks often operate in complex and dynamic environments, as you mentioned earlier in the interview. And they must manage a wide range of risks from the strategic, operational,
Yeah.
to the financial environment, and even as you talked about, climate related. Your role puts you in a somewhat of a unique position to be at the heart of those many discussions. We'd be interested in your view on how you manage the risk appetite for the Bank of
Yeah.
Canada, if you can share that.
Yeah, no, that's it's a great question, and I'm smiling because this is obviously based on my background, one of the areas that
Right.
I'm passionate about as well. And you're right. This is a really important question, and we do work with our financial and enterprise risk managers. So our enterprise risk management team is the financial enterprise risk team, and we work on with them on a different front. So yeah, data is at the heart of risk management. There is no doubt. And
Right.
for a wide range of risk, as you mentioned, whether they're strategic, financial, or like climate change, which and it's key in managing all of these risks is having the right data to support the identification, the assessment, the monitoring, um, And it's not always obvious and easy. And for starters, like we manage the risks. So we collectively manage risk appetite for the bank. It requires us to set foundational pieces like the risk appetite statement, tolerances, thresholds. In our financial and enterprise, I always want to call them FIR team, they work with the risk owners to develop these and frame the KRIs and monitoring requirements. And I'm on the oversight risk committee in part because my role in portfolio at the bank spans a lot of different areas, the data and analytics, as well as security risk, operational resilience, and facilities, including our greening our operations. So being a risk owner, including data risk, allows me to have greater insights in how we can enable the organization. We've got a digital project that's going on, digitalization project, where we're going to leverage risk information across the bank. That's about integration and sharing data across. That's not easy. And so we're doing that. We're working with risk owners such as cyber on their cyber data strategy and monitoring capabilities. So we're looking at how we can bring AI, ML to bring new insights and further understand cyber related risks. And you mentioned, climate change, and that's one I'm also given, that's part of my team as well.
Right.
And it's an interesting and an important area. And again, we're involved in that in a number of ways. We're bringing data in to inform climate related risks about our balance sheet holdings. And I think I mentioned before some of the work we're doing, one of the use cases on, some satellite imagery. We were working with our green team to establish what are emissions, and we're building, so what are building emissions, business travel, supply chain. So all of that baselining and ongoing data. And also part of my team is looking at and working with regulators, national statistical agencies, other central banks on a data gaps initiative working group. And so really looking at this more broadly at the issues related to data and disclosure. And I know EDM Council is looking at this really closely as well, and that's close to their heart.
Yeah, certainly they're big into the ESG. A couple of white papers have come out.
Yeah.
In the last minute or two, I want to just turn to currency because the Canadian dollar is the official currency of Canada. It was first introduced in 1858, if my research is correct. And since that moment, all accounting has been made in the national currency. However, in 1987, Canada introduced the first dollar coin as a cost-saving replacement measure to the $1 bill. I still remember the $1 bill. And in 1996, Canada also introduced the $2 coin. Both have affectionate names to the Canadian population. A lot of our listeners would not know what they are. So, bit of trivia question. If you do know that, you can go ahead and shout it out. But Julie, for our listeners, you can tell us what those affectionate names are, but also more importantly, can you tell us what effect? And I know that they're from the mint, but surely they've had an effect on the Bank of Canada going to a coin base for the $1 and $2 denominations.
Yeah, thank you. And okay, so Robert, I can't believe the dates you provided. Like, I do remember that too. Oh my goodness, has it been that long ago?
Yeah, it has been that long. Yeah, I had to research
Wow.
that. Yeah.
Wow. And yeah, like I remember it that, the loonie, because it had a loon on it, right? And then
Yeah.
when the two and this was like a big deal going from a dollar bill to more
Yes.
coin in our pocket. And then when they changed the $2 bill, it's like I can't believe it. And it was, then they affectionately named it the toonie for
Yeah.
obvious reasons. And our banknotes have not had such endearing names. We
No.
$5, the 10, 20, 50, 100. And so you never know. I'm still waiting. Maybe when our next $5 note is unveiled, maybe they'll have a new nickname. Who knows? Maybe with our new king, they'll have,
Yeah.
maybe we'll call it something. I'm not sure. But anyways, and so yeah, I imagine it's had quite an effect on our are the Mint as well. It's kind of a shift of responsibilities, right? And
Right.
but they are organized to handle a lot of different coins. They have a lot of commemorative coins that they do.
That's right.
Uh, so they're uh, quite adept at that for sure.
We will have to go and find a data leader from the Mint and interview them. Julie, we'd really like to thank you for your time today. We really appreciate it. We hope that we can get the chance to come back and learn more about what's going on with the Bank of Canada in the future.
It's my pleasure. I'd be happy to anytime, and I can't wait to hear about what others are doing as well because it's a shared journey. So,
Yes,
and there's
it is.
always things going on. So keeping abreast of all of the developments is certainly key.
And for our listeners, please visit cdomagazine.tech for additional interviews. Thank you.
Thank you.